St. Augustine is the site for the cannon firings today. They fire 10:30 and 11:30, give lunch, and then they have 1:30, 2:30, and 3:30. If you haven't seen the program, it is fantastic. They do the formal presentation. The Spanish could fire every 26 seconds. But we take 7 minutes. They want to look good. They would be showing off of their wives and girlfriends, and then they fire. Unfortunately, we can't use cannonballs anymore because we have neighbors across the harbor, but it's still a cool program. So if you're headed that way, go see it. This is also a special week for us. Fort Matanzas has an anniversary birthday. I don't know what's appropriate for a building, but she is now 270 years of age this week. Viva! Because of that, she's been able to stand up to a lot of things, mostly neglect. The U.S. Army owned her for about 105 years and let her sit here. We bought it for a penny. It was such a small amount, I don't think we ever thought it was worth anything. But realize today it's sitting here not only has 270 years of actual fort, but remember the stone it's made of is 38 million years of age. It is physically one of the oldest buildings in America. Built of bomb-proof, fireproof, and cannon-proof material, it had already proven itself at the big fort in St. Augustine 80 years earlier. Reason? British cannonballs are still stuck in the east side of the wall. If you go to see the cannon firings, you can see those. This never gets a shot. Nobody is up the river. Nobody ever takes a shot at us. Wouldn't you figure they'd try once? And after a while, after 80 years, it was retired with a perfect track record. 4 shots fired, 4 giant misses, and the British never approached it except as friends and used the river on a constant basis. So over 2,475 young men have served here until 1938. The U.S. Army has the strangest part of the story. Spain builds it, 7 guys, a dog, and a cat. So you would be 2 of the soldiers here, senior gunners, 1 officer, and they would be sound asleep. Big dog, you'd be up there. When would you want lunch? Spanish do not rush. Your breakfast would be at 1:30 in the afternoon since you were up gambling till 4 in the morning. And then once the officers eat, usually with solid food or what they call hard food, this part of the island was attached by a causeway, and that was where they kept their cattle and hogs. They had a herd of about 400 animals over there. Steak. Remember, the boys have to eat things that are kind of chewy and soft and mushy. Reason? The Spanish soldiers are required 4 good solid teeth in their mouths. That's the highest standard in the world till World War I. The British, well, I think you know a little bit more. What color uniforms are they in? It's sexy. Red. But remember, as you saw just a few weeks ago in London, 70 of the men fell out during the parades for the anniversary of Her Majesty. 7 of them were injured. 1 of them was kicked in the head by the horse. 2 of them died. And 14 of them are still in the hospital. That's 3 weeks ago. So we forget, the uniforms are exhausting. And if you're wearing armor on top of them like the horsemen were, remember it's 84 degrees, yet they said to them inside the armor is 105 degrees. This thing's bulletproof, but it's also cool. There's always a nice breeze out here. A few bugs, but if you're on the roof, it's always pleasant. And for the officers, 2:30, they are zonked out. Reason? You've been drinking, you had chocolate, and you had 12,000 calories of food. So what happens? They're soundo. And for the boys, we have a choice. You can go out fishing. The Indians had 2 sailboats they could tie off to this little cedar. They were 28 foot long. And remember, these boats had a bigger mission than just being here. They were the Spanish Coast Guard. They checked every ship between Charleston and Habana, Cuba, over 1,200 miles of coastline. Spain had the right to inspect and go aboard every British ship in the world for 90 years. They hated it. They despised us. But remember, if you've got a good deal for him, you got Cuban cigars, he's got rum, swap out, right? The other feature, the Ford Island was right here. You guys are standing in the river as of 1923. This little seawall was supposed to complete the island when the U.S. forces got here. The problem is there's no money. And of course, 1929, a few years later, how's America doing financially, guys? We hit the bottom. 38 million people are desperate for work. 17,000 applied to dig that river, which is the intercoastal waterway to Mexico, build US 1, which was old State Route 5 Alpha. Our governor went to Congress, gave an impassioned plea, and died on the front platform of Congress. They funded it, and that is US 1 from Key West all the way to Monmouth, Maine, one of the longest highways in America. And for the second time, the Florida East Coast Railroad had gone bankrupt and fell into the United States' hands. 17,000 applied, 9,000 got jobs at $54 a month. That's a lot of money in 1929, guys. But the guys who started this project is the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and they dug for 28 years to get to Miami, and another 30 years to get down to Mexico. This is 1,400 miles to Brownsville, Texas, by way of Miami, up the coast, all the way around through Apalachicola, over to Pascagoula, and into Mexico. That affectionately is called by the U.S. Army ever since the ditch. It was 4 foot wide, 4 foot deep. Today it carries 35,000 boats a year up and down. Today's quiet. Nobody's going up and down, just a couple fishermen. So the fort was divided into 2 times. Fort, 80 years, never fired at, British soldiers, Spanish soldiers, boring but safe. And later on, after 105 years of being sitting out here, breaking into two pieces with a big oak tree in the middle, it becomes U.S. property till 1938. Price, 1 penny. Think it's worth a few more bucks? It also has been verified by the Queen of Spain, Sofia, as about 3 months ago. She is the last certified Spanish watchtower in the world. So we're glad we got her. So come on in, let's go see her. Your boat won. They're going to take the other group, chat with them, and stall them for 20 minutes. So come on in, let's take a look.